Good morning, rise and shine, y'all. Word on the Curb podcast. This is Annette Latigue. Our topic today, let them be triggered. Life gets loud. We don't have to. Let's talk about something we've all experienced, even if we didn't have the right words at the time for it. Sometimes the tension isn't about what was said. Sometimes the discomfort isn't about what was done. Sometimes the reaction has very little to do with us at all. More often than not, it's about what's happening around people and what's happening within them. When there's instability and uncertainty, unease, relationships have broken up, people have died, things have happened, even calm in these moments can feel unfamiliar. Even steadiness can feel uncomfortable. And if you've ever walked into a space, a place, a room, grounded and clear, and felt a shift you couldn't quite name, this conversation is for you. You know, when they shift the shift on you out of nowhere for no reason. Today, we're talking about what happens when we stop carrying actions, reactions that were never ours to begin with. Let them be triggered. That's right. This is the let them moment. And what we mean by that, when we say let them be triggered, we're not talking about conflict. We're not talking about disrespect. We're not dismissing anybody's feelings. We're naming a reality. Sometimes what shows up as irritation, resistance, or discomfort, you know that feeling you get when your gut starts ringing, your GPS starts directing you, hmm that there's something amiss. Don't ignore it, but don't feed into it either. It's about what that moment stirs up inside someone else. You know, sometimes what shows up isn't about us. It's not even about that exact moment sometimes. It could be as a direct result of other things that happen, but we're not psychiatrists and we're not trying to fix it, right? We're just not. So being triggered doesn't always look loud. It's about what's going on in other people. Sometimes we just have to step back and let them be triggered. That's right. Leave them right where they are. No disrespect, no harm, and no foul. Sometimes it looks quiet. Sometimes it looks passive, even passive aggressive. Sometimes it looks like distance. Can't figure out why. Tension or unnecessary reactions. Trust your gut. Trust your GPS. That's your God protection service. Use it. So when we say let them be triggered, we're saying let people have their internal experience, no matter what it is. It doesn't belong to us, it belongs to them. And sometimes we have a tendency, to want to manage it. Mm-mm, stop it. Let them have that experience. Don't rush in to fix it, explain it, or carry it for them. Sometimes we just want to carry other people's stuff. Stop it. Not every reaction needs engagement. It doesn't. Not every feeling needs management. Not every response belongs to us, unless it's our babies, our children, our little children. That's right. Stop trying to manage people's, fear and resentment and, internal conflict, things they're going through. That has absolutely nothing to do with us. It's not about conflict. It's not about clapbacks. These are moments that don't deserve or need clapbacks. It's not about explaining ourselves or proving anything. It is about presence. Sometimes people aren't reacting to what we did, They aren't reacting to what we said. I said sometimes, because some of y'all tend to be a little messy, right? Yeah, that's a fact too. But they aren't always reacting to what we said or did. They aren't reacting to a single moment at all. They're reacting to contrast, something different. When they're uncomfortable and you're not, when they're grieving and you're not, when they've lost relationships, the marriage failed, the relationship ended, the friendship ended, and you're not going through that. That's contrast. And sometimes it's uncomfortable for other people when you're not in the same space that they're in. And that's okay. Let them be triggered. Sometimes they're just going to be triggered by your presence, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because steadiness highlights instability. The kind of presence, that kind of presence can quietly expose when someone else is still trying to figure things out. And we got to let people figure things out. We do. And what surfaces in those moments when, we're self confident, we have inner calm, clarity, and it can feel confronting to people who don't. Remember that. See, I'm putting y'all up on game here right now about how to live through and allow people to be triggered. That's their trigger. It's not yours. Because some of the qualities in us, can sometimes trigger people because they haven't settled into their calm and their, good self esteem and self confidence and, dealing with grief and dealing with broken relationships and friendships and children gone astray. Now, this is not for the perfect people. This is for us normal folks who experience life on life's terms on a regular basis. That's who this is for, right? Most of the time, they're not bad people. They aren't villains. They aren't our enemies when they're acting out and they're triggered and they're misbehaving. Like often, they aren't even aware of what's being stirred up in them because they've become so comfortable with the conflict within. They have. And we got to let them be triggered. We got to let them be right where we are. You know, people don't wake up saying, I'm going to be triggered today, especially when they're comfortable with their discomfort. They don't wake up thinking they're going to be triggered. But I'm going to tell you something. Behavior has a way of telling the story for them, even when they can't. That subtle resistance, that passive aggressive behavior out of nowhere, unnecessary tension, feeling like you don't like them or you think you're better than them. That's their internal conflict. Let them be triggered. Mind your business and your peace. Do that. And while you're at it, drink some water, eat fruit, moisturize your feet, hands, and face too. We've all seen it. Strange reactions in calm moments, unnecessary tension. Like, where's it coming from? Their internal conflict. And if we're honest, we've all felt it at some point in time. This is that let them moment where you just have to step back and let them be triggered. This is where you let them comes in. Let people react. Let people misunderstand. Let people sit with whatever comes up for them. Not because we don't care, not because we're dismissive, but because noise does not require a response. We don't have to manage other people's discomfort. That's their job. That's what they talk about when they say it's an inside job. That's what they mean. Let them manage their own discomfort. We don't have to dim clarity. We don't have to dumb down to protect someone else's ego. Mm-mm. Don't do that. You might dumb down and stay down. No, let them be triggered. And so some reactions aren't invitations, they're information. Remember that. If we just pay attention, don't be dismissive. Pay attention. They'll give you all the information you need. And most often, almost 99.99% of the time, they won't even realize they're doing it. And when we recognize that they are, we gain room to breathe. Because with time, with us, something shifts. With perspective, something settles. Real perspective, not that imagined stuff that people throw on you when they've been grimy and trying to say, that's your perspective. Not that. Real perspective. When we fall in alignment with ourselves, you know, um, with experience, something becomes clearer. That's why experience is so important because it's wisdom. It helps us grow. And that's all we really want to do, right? Living life on life's terms. We just want to grow. But we got to remember that everybody's living life on life's terms. And those terms may not necessarily be ours. Let them be triggered. For some people, steadiness comes and goes, not because it's unavailable, but because life hasn't slowed enough yet for it to take root in them, right? Steadiness has to take root in you. And even then, sometimes it'll come and go, right? But when you're steady, you're ready. Remember that when you're steady, you're ready. Let them be triggered. So we let people be where they are and we stay where we are. Stay authentic, stay steady, stay kind, but keep moving. Stop over explaining. We stop over adjusting when they're triggered. We stop absorbing what doesn't belong to us. Here's what I'll leave you with. Some people aren't bothered by what you did, they're responding to where they are. And that's not our work to fix. If our presence brings up discomfort, we let it be theirs to sort out. Let them be triggered. If our calm highlights someone else's noise, don't rush in to quiet it for them. Noise doesn't require a response. Peace doesn't need permission, it needs maintenance. And we have to stop trying to manage other people's fears. So let them be triggered. Before we go, remember this some people aren't bothered by what you did, they're bothered by who you are, where they are in their own life. That's not your work to fix. It's not. That's not your weight to carry. Noise doesn't require response. Discomfort doesn't need your energy. And peace doesn't need permission. I repeat, peace doesn't need permission. Let people be where they are and let yourself keep moving. Yeah, you keep moving. This is word on the curve. Life gets loud, but we don't have to. I stand on that. Good night.